So this is our video of the when we did the North Coast 500 in April this year in our Stan the Man van. Over to you guys, because you know all the tech details about Stan the Man.
So Stan is a 2021 MAN TGE 3180 manual, and we bought him in September 2023 as a silver panel van, and proceeded to spend the next year, just over a year, converting him into what we've got now.
So we decided that we were going to add on a little bit to the trip by doing a little bit of cycling, because that's sort of our thing really. And we parked up at Fort Augustus rather than starting at Inverness, and proceeded to cycle the south shore of Loch Ness, which was absolutely gorgeous. Really enjoyed that, and also test out our new drone.
So we headed out on the bikes up the hill from Fort Augustus on our way to the south shore of Loch Ness, past the stunning Loch Tarf to our left on this video here. Absolutely beautiful place and a real taste of things to come. One of the features of the whole trip was the weather. We were so lucky. Despite it being April, and quite early on in April, the weather held for us absolutely beautifully. Blue skies and sunshine throughout. So we cycled what turned out to be about 35 miles along the south coast of Loch Ness to arrive at Inverness and our accommodation for the evening, which were pre-booked. They were the Glamness, I suppose, glamping pods, but they were shipping containers that had been beautifully converted in a lovely setting, but very close to a really nice supermarket, which was really handy. But it was a super evening we had there.
So we had read, or I'd read up on what they call the Loch Ness 360, which is supposed to be a traffic-free route all the way around the loch. And I think they do certainly sort of running races around there, and it's supposed to be cyclable. But when we set off from Fort Augustus, we realised it absolutely wasn't. It was a little bit contrived, and there were gates everywhere. And the road that we cycled on, as you see from some of the pictures and whatnot, was just so lovely anyway. And then the road on the north side of the loch is a little bit notorious, we realised, for road traffic accidents involving cyclists. So that convinced us to go back the way we'd come, with a bit of a diversion actually, because I don't like going back the way we came. That's not even a thing. So after a lovely lunch stop at the Falls of Foyers, we ended up back at the little bit above Loch Tarf again, where we did the original drone footage, and spotted this off-road section, which it was rude not to take really. And as you can see, the views were immense at the top.
We did have a cheeky beer that we brought with us, so that was just lovely to stand there looking at the 360 views around us and enjoying a cheeky little beer.
So after doing the Loch Ness diversion, we headed off to Inverness and stayed at Fortrose Bay campsite, so that's sort of the official start point for the NC500.
So I think we're literally the second people to arrive at Fortrose Bay campsite after it just reopened for the season. So we've got a lovely pitch right on the very side of the Moray Firth with beautiful views out across the water there. Absolutely lovely place to stay. So we arrived and got set up at Fortrose Bay campsite and then went for a stroll down the side of the Moray Firth, along across the golf course and to Chanonry Lighthouse, which is at Chanonry Point. And that is a really famous place for spotting dolphins and seals, particularly dolphins. Now we arrived at the point where the dolphins were having a sleep, so there was no dolphins there to be seen, but we did find out when the best time to go, which was supposed to be at low tide on the following day.
We waited for dolphins and waited a bit more for dolphins. Even though the weather was absolutely gorgeous, as you can see, we were really well wrapped up, and after 3 hours we gave it up. We'd had enough of the wind by then. Next stop was the campsite at Dornoch. Quite a big site, but plenty of room. It's obviously a really popular site, and it's not what we'd normally have booked, but it was fine. It was fine, and allowed us to walk into the village and have a little look round.
So I walked down into Dornoch and a visit to Cocoa Mountain, which supposedly serves the very best hot chocolate in the UK. It was certainly very nice and worth a visit. And then walked around the town and onto a place called Surf and Turf for tea. Now, Surf and Turf, the people that run that, were serving fresh lobster out of a portable van at Kyleskew Bridge, which is later in the video. But they've moved now to a shop in Dornoch where they sell obviously over the counter and have a little cafe type place. We still didn't manage to get lobster because I think lobster must have been off that week, or there wasn't enough lobsters. So we had to have an alternative, but it was still very nice tea.
As we checked into the campsite, the guy was really keen to point out lots of other tourist attractions to us, and saying a lot of people who do the NC500 just literally bat round and don't take the time to look at anything else. And he did talk about Loch Fleet and the, I was going to say dolphins then, but these are obviously not dolphins, and the seals. And while Gaz went for a run in the morning, I went for a bike ride from the site to go and investigate, and I was absolutely amazed. So instead of staying for breakfast, I whizzed back and we came up and parked the van at the side of Loch Fleet for breakfast with this absolutely amazing view.
So next stop was Dunrobin or Dunrobin Castle. Absolutely beautiful fairy tale looking castle with really nice gardens. So we walked round and a brew in the coffee shop, and we had a look round inside as well. And then we found out there was a falconry display in the grounds with a really nice gentleman who was very explanatory about falcons and hawks and the differences between them. And we had a really good falconry display in the garden. So that was, again, well worth a visit if you do happen to go there.
Next stop, John O'Groats. We paid to stay in on like a little hard standing area opposite the hotel near John O'Groats, which was absolutely fine. Nothing with a view or anything, but at least you got to use the facilities at the hotel. So we had a wander up to John O'Groats. The last time I was at John O'Groats, I was cycling from John O'Groats to Land's End, doing it the wrong way around. Found out that afterwards, but Gaz has never been to John O'Groats, so we had a little wander around there. Loads nicer than Land's End. We've been there fairly recently, and that's far too what's the word?
Commercial.
Okay, yeah, that's the one. Commercialised nowadays. So yeah, Johnny Groat's much nicer.
So the following day we had a walk up to Dunscansby Stacks from the sort of Seaview Hotel where we were parked up to see the puffins, because we'd heard the puffins were there. We didn't have much luck with puffins, similar to the dolphins, so we looked for puffins and we searched for puffins and we went for puffins and we saw no puffins. So we didn't have much luck with the wildlife to date.
From there we drove up to Durness Head. This is officially the most northerly part of the mainland UK. Never been there before, but worth it for the view, to be fair, and a lovely ice cream van as well.
Our stop that night was at the Kyle of Tong Holiday Park, next to the Tong Causeway, which is basically a road which goes across, basically it's over a shallow sea lock right next to the campsite. It was a really nice place, flat park up, beautiful views, and a cycle the following day was really, really nice.
So the following day, as we were coming out of the Kyle of Tong, very weird in terms of the views because of this mad temperature inversion. We went for a cycle in the morning. You could tell that the weather was just changing. It was just really strange, but got some spectacular photos as a result, to be fair.
And then headed up past Betty's Hill viewpoint. Again, trying to get some drone footage and again some phenomenal views.
Next stop was the campsite on the cliffs at Sango Sands near Durness. Absolutely stunning. The campsite was really busy and we were dead lucky. We sort of did a bit of a cheeky park up. I'm not sure if it was an official pitch, but there was plenty of room, and then we did stay there for 2 nights and the people around us disappeared, so we ended up with a really good slot to ourselves anyway.
This was an unbelievable place. If you look at the footage, you'll see beautiful blue, turquoise blue sea, 2 bays with nobody on. I think at one point there was us and another walker or somebody with their dog on the beach, but literally absolutely nobody there at all. Stunning place, stunning views, and something to behold.
Cave, the visitor attraction, is about a mile walk, quite a nice walk from the campsite on the quiet road, and then we cut across off-road a little bit over the hillside. Worth a visit, and from there you can walk across the grass to another headland where you get gorgeous views as well. And then on the way back, a visit to the snack van Cheese and Toasted, which allegedly has the best cheese toasties, and to be fair, they were really, really tasty. Probably not that good for you, but hey ho.
So, stunning backdrop of the Scottish Highlands and the Kylescu Bridge. Well worth a stop. We had about 25 minutes there. You'll pass it anyway. There was no coffee van there. We made our own coffee in our own van. I think there has been occasionally a snack van there, but there wasn't when we went. There was evidence, however, of people having done donuts in their vehicles, not whilst we were there, I might add. But anyway, still well worth a stop and well worth a visit. Beautiful place to see.
We went on a detour to Clashnessie Falls, which was 15-20 minute walk. You get quite wet when you get close to it because there's lots and lots of spray, as you can see, but worth a detour, very nice. And then on to Shore Caravan site, which was near a place called Achmelvich.
So we arrived at Shore Caravan site. Unfortunately, they'd had an electrical outage, which meant they weren't able to sell the fish and chips that we were expecting. But nevertheless, I'm sure that will have been sorted now. Now, we didn't need the electric because we have a fully electric van anyway, with solar and all that kind of stuff. But we decided we'd have a cycle down into Loch Inver, about a 35-minute ride, and had fish and chips at a lovely little cafe down in the town.
Next stop, Ardmere Point campsite. We actually arrived quite early, so we drove past the campsite down to Ullapool, which is literally 5 minutes drive away. There's quite a big park up and a decent sized supermarket. Quite a few camper vans were parked there, so we managed to stock up on supplies again there. And we had a good old wander, and there's a couple of little paths up the back of the where the houses are and whatnot, and we went right up the cliffs for On the way the following day, well worth a stop, is the Corrie Charlotte Gorge. Apologies to any Scots people listening to this, because I'm probably pronouncing all these places drastically wrong, but hey ho. Yeah, you are supposed to pay for the car park, and in all good faith we followed a sign that said overspill car park and found a handy little lay-by where we parked for free and just walked a minute or so back to the place. But lovely signposted walk. As they say, if you're afraid of heights, just be warned. It is the gorge is ridiculously steep, and the suspension bridge that goes across it, yeah, is something to behold. It's well worth a visit.
So after the bridge, you walk along the gorge further to the viewing platform, which again, very high up, but lovely views down the gorge. Absolutely stunning. We did make our way back down to the cafe afterwards and made sure we had a coffee and a cake, just to make sure we put something back into the local economy. We weren't trying to dodge the car park charge, it was all in good faith. Onward
Towards Torridon, where we were promised some coos at last. They were genuinely the first ones we'd seen all the way around, and we were nearly at the end at this point.
So the road down to Torridon did get a little bit tight if you were in a motorhome. We were fine in the van, but if you're in a motorhome, you might want to be careful of that. The really interesting road just then was the Balach na Bar down into Applecross. Again, very steep, very tight roads, quite a number of hairpins on there. So not for the faint-hearted if you're a nervous driver, but we did it fine in our van, and there were bigger vans going down there that also did fine on that. So make sure your brakes are in tip-top condition.
So finally we got to Applecross, which in the end was our final destination. We found some deer. We actually found another one with antlers, but that was on the way back from the pub, and we didn't get to video him. He disappeared, but they were in abundance over there, which was lovely.
So from Applecross we had intended to make the trip, a 2 or 3 hour trip over to the Isle of Skye, but the weather was due to turn, and we'd had such a wonderful couple of weeks with fabulous weather. We decided that we would save the Isle of Skye for a visit on its own another time.